Good evening, everyone. Families, teachers, friends, and most importantly, the class of 26. Standing here today feels a little unreal. For years, we've been counting down to this moment, through late night study sessions, early morning alarms, and those days where everything felt like too much. And now, somehow, we've made it. When I think about our class, I don't just think about grades or achievements. I think about everything it took to get here. The pressure, the setbacks, the expectations, and the small wins that kept us going. Growing up as an Asian American, I often felt like I was living in two worlds. At home, there were expectations shaped by culture, family, and tradition values, like discipline, respect, and perseverance. Outside, there was a different kind of pressure. To fit in, to find where I belonged, and to find who I was on my own. For a long time, I thought I had to choose between those two worlds. But over time, I realized something important. I don't have to choose. None of us do. Our identities, whether shaped by culture, family, or personal experience, aren't limitations. They're strengths. They're what gives us perseverance, resilience, and the ability to see the world in ways others might not. And that's something that this class understands better than anyone. We've grown up in a time of constant change. We've seen challenges that tested us, not just academically, but emotionally and socially. There were moments where things felt uncertain, when plans changed overnight, when we had to adapt quickly just to keep moving forward. But we did it. We learned how to be flexible, how to support each other, how to keep going even when we didn't have all the answers. And maybe that's the biggest lesson we're taking with us today. Not just what we learned in classrooms, but what we learned about ourselves. We learned that failure isn't the end. It's part of the process. We learned that success doesn't look the same for everyone, and that's okay. If I'm being honest, I don't have everything figured out. I don't think any of us do, and that used to scare me. There's this idea that by the time we graduate, we're supposed to have a clear path, a plan, a direction. But maybe the point isn't to have everything figured out. Maybe the point is to be willing to figure it out, to try new things, to take risks, to fail, then try again. But the truth is, life isn't a straight line. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes it won't go the way we expect. But that doesn't mean we're lost. It just means we're still becoming. As we leave this place, we're going to go in different directions. Some of us will go to college, some of us will start working, some will take time to figure things out, and that's just as valid. Whatever path you take, don't let anyone else define what success means for you. And don't forget where you came from. Carry your culture with pride, carry your experiences with confidence, carry the lessons you've learned here, not just the academic ones, but the ones about friendship, resilience, and growth. Take the time to thank people who helped you get here, your families, your teachers, your friends. None of us made it to this stage alone. And as we move forward, let's also remember to lift others up along the way, because success means more when it's shared. So, class of 2026, here we are, at the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. We don't know exactly what the future holds, but we do know this. We are capable, we're resilient, we are ready to take everything we've learned and turn it into something meaningful, ready to create our own paths, ready to take a step forward with confidence. Let's embrace the uncertainty, and let's keep becoming who we're meant to be. Congratulations, class of 2026, we made it.
Every day, I imagine I'm living in a bubble that carries the way I think, communicate, and move through the world. It encapsulates what makes up my day-to-day life. When I look at my friends, family, teachers, and even strangers, I imagine each of them in their own bubble, completely different from my own. Some are thin and transparent, some are thick and foggy, some are fragile, some are strong. The characteristics of both ourselves and our bubbles depend on the experiences that shaped us into the people we are today. When I think about this, my eyes fall onto my older sister, Anna. Ever since she was diagnosed with autism, her bubble became a sort of haze, isolating her and trapping her thoughts inside. She tries to express her feelings just like anyone else, but when her words make contact with the walls that surround her, they ricochet right back. This leaves us wondering what is going on in her unique brain. After 17 years of sisterhood, the contour of our bubbles still restricts the way we communicate. For a long time, I thought the motive was to break through that bubble and to fully understand her. But now I realize that love is not about fixing barriers. Sometimes it is about simply stepping close enough to understand the person inside. I think high school has taught us the same thing. Over the last 4 years together, we have all walked through the same hallways, sat in the same classrooms, and shared many experiences. Despite the similarities in our high school career, each of us have faced unique challenges and hardships. Each one of us carries a different weight of struggles, fears, and goals for the future. These experiences are what shape the walls of our bubbles. They determine how we communicate, how easily we trust, how we handle challenges, and how we love one another. I think a lot of us went about high school with the idea that we had to pop everyone's bubble. We tried to force understanding and force a connection with one another. If I have learned anything, it is that not every bubble is meant to merge together, and I had to learn how to be okay with that. Sometimes you may meet someone and you click instantly. Your bubbles begin to stick together and you become inseparable. Conversations flow naturally, and being around each other feels comfortable. There will be people who understand you so deeply that the walls feel non-existent. These specific relationships are the ones we carry through life. However, sometimes connections are harder to make. Conversations may be misunderstood, and apologies may be left unheard. Our bubbles may repel from one another. The walls we have carefully constructed may be repetitively broken down to the point where vulnerability turns into discomfort. The way our bubbles interact does not make us inherently good or bad. It just means we are different. Not everyone is meant to be compatible. When we attempt to force a connection when we don't naturally come together, we risk popping someone else's bubble. We risk deflating the unique haven someone has spent years building around them, and we risk making people feel like they need to change their appearance, communication, or behaviors just to fit in. Instead of breaking down each other's boundaries, we must accept that a connection may not form and continue to respect those around us. Understanding does not always mean your walls become clear, but more so recognizing that everyone's life has shaped their bubble differently. After graduating high school, we will face thousands of new people. Roommates, coworkers, teammates, strangers. Some of their bubbles will immediately be drawn to ours, but some of them will bounce off and head in a totally different direction. Rather than viewing this as a deterring obstacle, simply look at it as a part of life. Life is not about finding infinite connections and forming one long chain of familiar faces. It is about finding the connections that are meaningful to you and don't tear down your barriers. Find the people that make you feel understood and valued, the ones that don't make you change the shape of your bubble just to fit inside of theirs. So, class of 2026, as we turn the page and begin a new chapter of life, I hope you remember that everyone you meet is living in a unique environment that is shaped by the experiences and stories that you may have never seen or heard. I hope we learn to approach people with an open mind instead of judgment, and with acceptance instead of force. Some bubbles will repel, some bubbles will stick, and that is okay. The goal of life is not about popping one another's bubble, but instead learning to appreciate everyone and their borders as a whole. So as we take this step forward, here's to making connections that allow us to take a step closer into understanding one another. Thank you.
Have you ever stood on a stage with every line memorized, wearing a costume that doesn't quite feel like yours yet, the light shining in your eyes, and your heart pounding in your chest? Or stepping onto a field, or a court before a big game, feeling the pressure of every practice leading up to that moment? Maybe I was walking into a club meeting, a competition, or some kind of event. Unsure of what would happen next, those moments can feel terrifying. Yet, they are also magical because when you step forward, something inside you shifts. You realize you're capable of more than you ever thought. For me, live theater changed everything. I started acting back in 2019, a few years ago after my grandmother passed away due to a heart attack. She was the one who always taught me, as a kid, to be myself. I didn't fully understand what that meant back then, and unfortunately I can't ask her now. But theater gave me a way to honor her advice. It gave me a place to explore, to take risks, and to find my own voice. While theater became my place, I know every student here has found something of their own. For some, it was sports. For others, it was clubs, music, student leadership, volunteering, or activities that gave them purpose and connection. No matter where we found it, those experiences helped shape us into who we are today. I'll always remember the moments when I felt closest to my grandmother, even if she wasn't physically there. I miss when she and I would dance together in the living room, laughing at ourselves, twirling, and stepping on each other's feet. Those moments are still alive in me every time I step onto a stage, every time I take a breath before a performance, and every time I find courage in a moment that feels bigger than myself. I'm sure everyone in this room has that kind of person who influenced, that left a big impression. High school can feel big, overwhelming, and sometimes scary. And this, standing here today, giving this speech in front of all of you, this is the first time I've spoken to such a huge crowd, I can't lie. I'm almost too scared to try. And then I remembered what theater taught me. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is stepping forward anyway. Through the guidance of Theater of the Manchesters, Jasmine Ireland, and Chris Duff, I learned to trust myself. Theater showed me that it's okay to be vulnerable, that mistakes are part of growth, and that confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build moment by moment, rehearsal by rehearsal, performance by performance. I'll never forget Tech Week, the chaos of costumes, lights, last-minute line changes, and the adrenaline of open at night. I remember the nights when I stayed up late memorizing lines, practicing dances until my muscles ached, laughing together as a cast when something went wrong, and cheering each other on when it all finally came together. Those weren't just theater moments. They were lessons in perseverance, teamwork, and believing in yourself even when it was hard. While those moments came from the theater for me, I know other students found the same lessons in different places. Some found them on the field or court during practices and big games. Others found them in clubs, music groups, student leadership, volunteering, or activities that changed them to grow. No matter where we spent our time, we all experienced moments that pushed us, shaped us, and taught us how to support one another. High school is a lot like theater for me. We're given roles we always don't choose. Sometimes we're confident leads, and sometimes we're nervous understudies. Sometimes we're behind the scenes, working quietly without visible recognition. But every role matters, every effort matters, and every single one of us grows through the process. Theater gave me more than just lines or choreography. It gave me resilience. It gave me patience, and it gave me the ability to connect with one another. Most importantly, to trust myself. And in doing all of this, I felt my grandmother's advice in my heart to be myself, fully and bravely. Every time I performed, I imagined her watching, cheering, and dancing along with me in spirit above. And I realized that her guidance was not just for the stage, it was for life. Ellsworth High School has been more than just a school. It has always been a classroom, a stage, and a home all at once. It's where friendships were built in hallways, locker rooms, rehearsal spaces, and places we'll probably never forget. It's where we learn that even when things go wrong, you can always recover. It's where we learn to collaborate, to lift each other up, and how to find our own voices on and off the stage. To my graduating class, find your stage. Find what challenges you, inspires you, and makes you feel alive. Step into it. That is where growth happens. That is where you discover who you truly are. Theater taught me that, and I hope you find the same magic in your own lives. And yes, there were times in high school where it felt almost impossible. Tests, projects, practices, competitions, sports, social pressures. Sometimes it just felt like the stage lights were shining too brightly, and I might freeze. But just like theater, Ellsworth High School taught me to breathe, focus, and take that next step forward. Every obstacle taught me something about myself and about the kind of person I wanted to become, to be able to step onto the stage. For me, that stage was theater. And for you, your stage might have been the classroom, the field, the lab, the studio, or just even a quiet moment in the library. Wherever it was, you showed up. You stepped forward. You grew. And because of that, we are all ready for the next act of our story. Before we take that final step, we want to thank the people who helped us get here. To our principals, Mr. Clifford and Mrs. Wright, thank you for leading us, supporting us, and believing in us, even when we were still figuring ourselves out. To our superintendent, Amy Bowles, thank you for your leadership, support, and commitment to our education. To Mr. Frost, our athletic director, thank you for teaching us discipline, teamwork, and school pride on and off the field. To the entire Ellsworth High School faculty and staff, thank you for the time, energy, and care you poured into us throughout the years. Whenever you taught us in the classroom, guided us through challenges, supported us in our activities, or just simply brightened our day in the hallways. You helped us shape who we are today, and your dedication has made a lasting impact on all of us. To our office ladies, Anne and Dottie, thank you for always helping us out, especially on the mornings when we were just running a little late. Your patience and kindness mean more than you know. To the cafeteria staff, thank you for feeding us and keeping us fueled every day. To the custodial staff, thank you for keeping our school clean, safe, and welcoming. You are truly the behind-the-scenes heroes of this place. And of course, to our friends and families, thank you for cheering us on, supporting us, and standing by us through every success and setback. We wouldn't be here without you. As I look out at everybody today, I think about the lessons my grandmother taught me, the lessons Peter taught me, and the lessons we've all learned together at Ellsworth High School. Remember, be yourself, trust your voice, step forward into the light, never be afraid to dance, even if it feels a little awkward, even if the stage is bigger than you, and even if you're missing someone you love. Class of 2026, we've rehearsed long enough. Places, everyone. The curtain is rising on the rest of your lives. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Faculty, family, friends, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2026. When people talk about growing up, they usually describe it as finding yourself, as if somewhere out there's a final version of yourself, one final version of who you're supposed to become. But I don't think that this is true. I think we become ourselves piece by piece as we grow and get older, somewhat like a mosaic. A mosaic is a piece of art made from thousands of small fragments. These pieces may not make a lot of sense on their own, but pieced together they build a lifetime of stories, good and bad. And together it creates something beautiful. This is what the class of 2026 is. Each of us carried our own pieces to this school 4 years ago. Some pieces came from success, achievements we were proud of, friendships we will carry with us forever, and memories that'll last a lifetime. Some of these pieces came from failure, learning from mistakes, uncertainty, or the fear that we don't belong somewhere. We all entered this school with missing pieces from our own mosaics, and over time, we filled in more spaces. Each piece we filled with our mosaics over the years shows growth, determination, and has brought us closer to this milestone. Somewhere in my mosaic, there's a tile that represents the student sections, how all of us, no matter our differences, whether sports fans or not, come together to cheer on our peers and see each other succeed. Going way back, there's a tile on my first day of kindergarten, and learning all your names for the first time, and a tile of the first day of freshman year when we all felt this day was so far away. At the time, these moments didn't feel important to our lives. Some felt unfinished, some felt like they would never fit in our story, and some of them made perfect sense. Mosaics are not beautiful because every piece makes sense by itself. It's beautiful because together it tells your story. Over the years, this place and these people shaped our lives, not by making us all identical, but by teaching us how our differences strengthen the bigger picture. We learned beside people with different goals, beliefs, interests, and dreams, and somehow through the late nights, group projects, conversations, setbacks, and celebrations, those tiles formed a community. Our mosaics grew bigger and better whether we knew this was happening or not. A mosaic only works because no tile creates the bigger picture by itself. It represents a small time in our lives that we either grew from or adapted to. The world often pressures us to present ourselves as perfectly pulled together young adults, to hide the imperfections and dim the uncertainty. But real growth rarely happens in imperfect ways. It happens in fragments or tiles that enhance the final picture. Some of us know what our plans are for the future, and some of us do not. Some are excited, some are terrified about what comes next. Most of us are probably feeling a little bit of both. But maybe you don't need to see the full picture yet. An artist creating a mosaic doesn't always start their artwork by seeing every detail from the beginning. They trust that each piece will eventually find its place. As we move forward, I hope we can all remember this. Do not reject the difficult pieces of your story. One day, they might become the reason that pushes you through the hard times. Do not compare your mosaic to someone else's. We may hold a fragment in someone else's story, but each of us follows a different path. They are proof of individuality. And when life feels like it's broken or in fragments, remember that our stories are still unfinished and you have a lifetime to go. Today is not the completion of your mosaic, but it marks the day you finish one more tile, one more milestone completed. This is the moment we take a step back to see something beautiful taking place. To the graduates, thank you for being part of my mosaic, and each of you hold your own tile with your own stories that have shaped me into the person I am today. And wherever life takes us next, may we continue to build unique versions of ourselves. I am a mosaic of everyone I have ever loved, even for a heartbeat. It's not just 14 words, but an explanation of why each of us are exactly who we are today. Congratulations, class of 2026. We are still becoming something great, and that's what makes us remarkable. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. To faculty, family, friends, and most importantly, the Ellsworth High School graduating class of 2026. When I think about my time here at Ellsworth High School, one thing stands out to me: how often life changes without asking us first. Before 2020, Maine was never supposed to be home for me. It was a place I came for 2.5 months out of the year, a summer house on a little island, somewhere temporary. But when the pandemic hit in 2020, everything kind of came to a halt. Temporary became permanent. Like a lot of things during that time, I don't have a say in it. I went from living a normal life in Stafford Springs, Connecticut, around the same people I'd grown up with, to now living on a small island in Deer Isle, participating in online school, 55 minutes from Ellsworth, and not really knowing anyone, and not really knowing what life was going to look like next. To be honest with you, if you were to ask me where Ellsworth was on a map during this time, I couldn't tell you where it was. I was so unfamiliar with my surroundings. When things started to finally open back up, I needed to do things simple. But quite honestly, it was very uncomfortable for me. I had to start over. One of the first things I did was join a U14 soccer team here in Ellsworth. I remember showing up that first day at the Meyer Field, looking around and realizing I really didn't know a single person. Everyone else already knew each other. They had played together before, had inside jokes, and had a history. They were catching up with one another while I was just there. Moments like that don't really sound that big when you say them out loud. It's just soccer practice. But when you're the one in it, it feels a lot bigger than that. Because it's not really about the sport. It's about walking into something where you don't know how you fit in yet. It's about being outside of what's familiar. It's about realizing that the life you expected to keep living isn't the one that you're living anymore. But something started to change after that. Not all at once, and not in any immediate way, but it did, gradually. As I started to get more comfortable, it didn't just occur on the soccer field. I ended up joining a YMCA basketball team here again in Ellsworth, and I also started playing baseball in the Junior Coastal League at Blue Hill. What those experiences did for me wasn't to give me something to do. They helped me actually start to connect. Different teams, different groups of people, different environments, but each one made the place feel a little less unfamiliar. Each one made Maine feel a little more like somewhere I belonged instead of somewhere where I just had to end up. This sense of belonging is something I hope you all carry with you moving forward in life. The hardest part for me, though, for this was that I never chose it. I didn't plan to leave the place where I grew up. I didn't plan to meet entirely new people. I didn't plan to figure everything out from scratch. I just got there to do it. I think a lot of us have had moments like that. Moments where things change without asking us first. Where we're pushed in a situation we didn't expect and definitely didn't feel ready for. In those moments, the unknown doesn't feel exciting. It just feels rather uncomfortable. But over time, something changes. Not all at once, not perfectly, rather slowly but surely. You start recognizing faces, you start having conversations, you start finding your place, even if it's not exactly where you thought it would be. Without realizing, you adjust, you adapt, and eventually you'll figure out the challenges. And that's what happened to me here. Ellsworth went from being a place where I didn't know where it was and didn't know anyone, to a place that gave me friendships, experiences, and memories that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. If you told me that in 2020 that this place would end up meaning this much to me, I wouldn't believe you. But that's the thing about the unknown. You don't get to see what it's going to become while you're in it. You only really understand it after. For a while, I thought that was just something I only went through once. Something tied to that moment in time, something I could move on from. But recently, I realized something different. I'm about to do it again. In a few months, I decided to head back to Connecticut to Avon Old Farm School for a postgraduate year. New school, new people, new environment, back to not knowing exactly where I fit. Back to being a new guy, back to the unknown. But this time, something's different though. This time, I chose it, and that changed everything. The first time, I was throwing the unknown, as I said. This time, however, I'm stepping into it on purpose. And honestly, I believe that's something that's worth thinking about, because embracing change isn't just something that happens to us, it's also something that we can choose. The truth is, we face the unknown all the time, just usually in small ways. Trying something new, meeting new people, putting yourself out there in ways that aren't guaranteed to work out. We don't always call those moments the unknown, but that's exactly what they are. The difference is, we only really recognize it when the stakes feel high, when it's a big move, a big decision, a big change. That's when it becomes real to us. That's when it feels like a risk, but also an opportunity for growth. This perspective can fill you with hope and confidence as you step forward in the future more. But what I've learned is that whether it's forced on you or chosen by you, the unknown is where everything happens. It's where you grow, it's where you meet people you never thought you would have met otherwise, and it's where your life takes turns you couldn't have planned. Honestly, yeah, it's unpredictable. It doesn't guarantee anything. It's a coin flip. But that's okay, because we've already proven something over the last 4 years. We've handled situations we didn't see coming. We've already adapted to change. We've already stepped in the uncertainty and made it work. So now, the question isn't whether the unknown is scary, because it is. The question is what we're going to do about it. Are we going to avoid it? Step into it on purpose? Because now, for the first time, we get a say. We get to choose the risks we take. We get to choose the path we follow. We get to choose whether we stay comfortable or go after something that might not be guaranteed, because that's what makes this moment different. So now, as you graduate from Ellsworth High School, don't only think about where you're going. Think about what you're willing to step into. The unknown doesn't get less uncertain. We just get more capable of facing it. And sometimes, the best you can do is choose it. So, here's to the unknown, what great opportunities may hold for everyone who enters it. Thank you.